Well, hello, everybody. Welcome. Good morning, good afternoon, maybe even good evening. Thank you so much for joining us here today. We're very excited to have you with us, to join us for a webinar for Don't Just Spend Money, Make Money. And we're here today to talk about all of our sponsorship best practices. So, without further ado, my name is Jason Meisner. I'm the Director of Product Management here at Cvent. I've been with the company for just over 9 years, nine glorious years, and really enjoyed working mostly on the on-site solutions division, primarily looking over things such as on arrival for on-site badging and check-in, as well as exhibitor management, and of course, very near and dear to my heart, sponsorship activation, which is why we're here today. And with me, very privileged and happy to have my co-presenter, Julie Schneidman, join us here. So, Julie, welcome.
Thanks so much, Jason. I'm really happy to be here and join you today. As you mentioned, I am the Vice President of Alliances at the American Marketing Association. And for those of you who might not be as familiar with AMA, our mission is to be the most relevant force in voice shaping marketing around the world and to create an essential community for marketers. So we do that through providing marketers with the resources, knowledge, training necessary to tackle their biggest challenges that they're facing today. So in my role as VP of Alliances, I oversee our advertising and sponsorship operation, helping connect our B2B partners with our dynamic audience of marketers and really make the magic happen there with the connection. So I'm excited to join you and share some of the lessons I've learned in that role, bring those to you so you can bring them to your organizations.
Awesome. Love to hear it, like I said. So, welcome. So for today, I just want to go over kind of our quick agenda here. First, we definitely want to, given the kind of all the changes in the industry over the last few years, we want to just take a moment to kind of look back and see how kind of sponsorship has kind of evolved as our industry landscape has certainly changed again over the last few years. We also want to take some time to highlight three sponsorship challenges, talk through some recommended solutions for how to address those challenges, and hopefully give you folks here today some key takeaways that hopefully you can take back to your organization to implement for your own particular events. Of course, we want to wrap it up, answer any live Q&A that you have. So as a shameless plug, please, as you're kind of going through the session here today, if you do have any questions that you want to get some feedback on, please hit the Q&A module in the engagement panel on the right-hand side, and we'll look forward to getting those or answering those here at the end of the session. So sponsorship activation. So this is one of the areas that obviously is a big focus for us here at Cvent. And as we all know, in the world of events, sponsors play a crucial role in creating unforgettable experiences. So as events continue to grow in scale and complexity, we all know that sponsors offer a multitude of benefits that do go beyond just simply financial support, right? They can provide a lot more expertise in your area. They can provide industry connections. They can bring a whole wealth of knowledge that event planners can ultimately tap into for their particular events. So collaborating with sponsors who have a deep understanding of the target audience can significantly enhance your own event marketing strategy and ensuring maximum reach and engagement, whether you're a for-profit or a not-for-profit like AMA. Sponsorship is obviously a very critical component of that. Now, here at Cvent, over the last, since the time I've been looking over sponsorship activation, when we look at kind of our product roadmap and how we can benefit sponsors, we've really always kind of looked at it in these three different tiers. So obviously, number one, brand awareness. Obviously, very critical for supporting our sponsors. How can we better brand their company, their organization, when they're joining and participating at particular events? Of course, we want to make sure that prospects and attendees can identify and discover those sponsors as well, right? So how do we kind of drive those connections together? And then, of course, from the sponsorship perspective, how can we provide lead generation for them? Now, that could come in the form of maybe new customers, new members for their association. So really kind of thinking through each of these different segments of sponsorship has really been a driving force for us here at Cvent. Now, of course, pre-pandemic, when we look back on sponsorship and brand awareness, the journey for a lot of our sponsors was pretty straightforward, right? So when someone obviously creates a registration site, they can promote their sponsors on the site. So as people are looking to register, they can see who's going to be sponsoring in advance. We can obviously show them on the sponsorship and exhibitor list for the event. And if they plan on speaking at the event, we can also support sponsored sessions. So the ability for them to obviously speak at those sessions, get some insights into who actually attended those sessions. And then from an on-site perspective, obviously we had a lot of functionality around kind of branding our mobile app experience, supporting on-site branding. So if you think about registration desk, supporting different areas of the on-site event, this was our traditional path forward for sponsorships. Now, of course, when the pandemic hit, we saw that major shift to virtual, right? And it kind of really focused or required us to all kind of shift how we thought about supporting sponsors for our events. So Julie, would love to hear some of your experiences through AMA and how you guys kind of work through kind of that shift to virtual yourselves.
Yeah, of course. So it was a journey, just like I'm sure it was for all of your organizations. And, live events was a huge part of our advertising and sponsorship operation. And in fact, it made up 35% of our overall revenue in that area. So when the pandemic hit, we took a hit in that area and dropped to about under 20%. And that dollar amount got cut in about half. So really substantial business impact. And so that was kind of the bad news. The good news was AMA was not a novice to hosting virtual events. And in fact, we had been doing so for several years prior. So we had virtual conferences, we had webinars. So we really had the team and technology in place to make that shift. So it was a little bit less of a scramble than maybe for some of the other organizations, but we had a lot to learn in terms of bringing our fully live experiences to virtual. So I'm glad that we were set up for success and a learning curve as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Like to your point, not everyone, I guess, would have had that expertise on their teams to make that shift as naturally as you guys had the opportunity to. But certainly, I know it was a challenge, I'm sure, regardless, to kind of make that great shift there. And we ourselves, so, for those folks that maybe have not used Cvent in the past, I did want to kind of share just an example of where we kind of focused a lot of our time and effort when the pandemic hit, which was really kind of investing in our Attendee Hub experience. So here's just kind of a screenshot I want to share where you can kind of see kind of an exhibitor or sponsor's page here, where obviously they can brand kind of that banner at the top, provide their logo, call it whether they're a gold sponsor or not, and of course provide more content support, right? So if they want to upload a video, maybe share some documents, some links, all this is kind of manned here within this kind of exhibitor page experience. And of course, during the virtual shift there, we wanted to make sure that we still provided mechanisms for attendees and prospects to also engage with sponsors, right? So we built out functionality like Meet Now, which was kind of our one-to-one video conferencing solution. Of course, as you can see here, exhibitor chat, right? So the ability for attendees to jump in, ask any questions, and have booth staff that are live kind of managing this booth be able to respond back to them. So obviously a lot of investment, kind of shift in mentality as we kind of trying to find new opportunities to kind of drive sponsorship kind of in that new world. Now, of course, over the last year, as we kind of come out the return of onsite back in 2022, we're really trying to find kind of the best of both worlds, right? So how do we take kind of the best experiences that we found from an onsite perspective, as well as all the new functionality and benefits we built for virtual, and really kind of bring that together here, for our customers.
Yeah.
Well, I love what you kind of put together here, and maybe kind of talk a bit about your kind of experience with kind of that hybrid event.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, Cvent was such an integral partner to the AMA, both in terms of the platform and being able to bring the hybrid experience to life. And then actually, Cvent is one of our top sponsors and advertisers as well. So we're so appreciative of the partnership. It brings a lot of value to the AMA. So what you can see on screen here is a couple of touch points from both our live experience as well as the virtual part of the hybrid event experience. And this was our first hybrid event. So this was in 2021, our symposium for the marketing of higher education. So you've got, of course, the standard booth opportunity, speaking remarks to our audience, and then we have the virtual presence both through the booth, and then we developed a custom sponsorship to highlight Cvent as our platform sponsor. So really kind of exciting way to see that hybrid experience come to life and really kind of get in the game of hybrid events. So we're grateful to Cvent for helping us make that happen.
Yeah, absolutely. I know. Obviously, it's really great to kind of see how you brought a lot of this kind of functionality together, kind of for that one event experience. And yeah, obviously, I'm sure back in 2021, different landscape. But
Sure.
I'm glad to see how you are leveraging both of these, or both the virtual and the on-site experiences together.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I think that this is going to bring us into challenge one. So one of the things that we noticed from our partners as they kind of came back live and into our experience, they required more than just visibility through logos and exhibit opportunities. Their business tightened as well, and their investment required a different kind of ROI. So they came to us asking really, how can we be thought leaders? How can we partner with you all in a different and more integrated way? So I thought that'd be a good challenge to start out with today, as I'm sure there's many organizations who are facing that of including their partner in their business in different ways. So I wanted to talk through a few solutions and how to do that. And our first recommended solution is really just a perspective setting and kind of some context. Treat your partners as key customers and solution providers. So I think that this is a really key piece that sometimes is missed in organizations. So, partners are not just key customer key customers of your organization, which they certainly are, but they're also industry experts. They offer unique solutions, ideas, and perspective that can help your community. So, the content that they produce can not only improve your event, but bring new tools and insights to the industry as a whole. And so I feel like making sure that you're treating your partners in that way is really important. I wanted to show a visual of how we do that at the AMA and how we plan for that. We have a fantastic project management office who helps us stay organized, think about all of the ins and outs of events, and making sure we're really set up for success to host some awesome events for our community. And so one of the initial exercises that we do in visioning is really thinking about our attendees and our sponsors in the same way. So this is just one demonstration of an exercise that really let us pull out who our attendees are, why they're there, and then the same thing for our sponsors. So really kind of going through that thought process on both sides so that your sponsors are really being treated as a key community and you're delivering for them as much as you're delivering for your attendees. So I wanted to show this today as I thought it might be a tool that you all can use at your organizations and really help you think through that sponsorship experience and attendee experience kind of side by side.
Yeah, I love the fact how you really thought through like what is the goals of each of these different personas as they're coming to your event. I'm sure that kind of untapped or opened up some opportunities. Kind of think about, okay, how can we help again sponsors and certain attendees for these events really meet their goals, and what are opportunities we could create on site or virtually that can help them achieve that. So really cool to see
Absolutely.
this here.
Yeah, thank you. It's fun to work through, and we've got a great office supporting us. So moving on to a second recommended solution for providing integrating your partners into thought leadership. Make sure that you're able to provide a variety of different types of thought leadership opportunities or speaking opportunities. So that's good for a couple of reasons. Partners have different budgets. I know we all know that. So as much as we would love to offer the top level thought leadership opportunity to all of our partners, not everybody can afford that and is ready and willing to make that investment. So by offering different tiers, you can kind of allow them to be a thought leader in your community, but in different ways. And so I'll give an example of how we do that at the AMA. One of our events, we have something we call an innovation showcase, and it's a shared thought leadership opportunity, shared speaking slot. So we bring 3 partners together and they all have 12 minutes where they present their solution and thought leadership. And then we have a Q&A. And it's really great because it's a more approachable budget and you really create that synergy and that community through conversation, both with our partners and then, of course, with our audience. So it creates kind of a win-win of a new opportunity as well as that shared dynamism that you can kind of bring to the event. So whenever possible, encourage you to think about the different tiers and levels because that can create other wins as well at your event.
Yeah, absolutely. I always find too when you have more of these kind of panel, kind of shared speaking opportunities, it kind of fosters more open kind of thought and talk tracks that maybe if it wasn't as rehearsed or people kind of like by presenting by themselves, it just opens up more opportunities in dialogue. I think when you have kind of that mixed speaking group as well. So I love seeing that.
Yes, absolutely agreed. So for the third solution, make sure that you offer bespoke opportunities whenever possible to achieve your partner goals. And this might be kind of like of course we will, but really make sure that you're listening to your partners, understanding their unique challenges, and then providing creative solutions that can help solve those challenges and leaning into innovation whenever possible. So your partners may require more than just the standard exhibit booth or even speaking opportunity. And so I wanted to encourage everyone to not be afraid to think outside the box and explore new things that you might not have done before. I have a couple of examples I wanted to share. The first is around AMA and our diversity, equity, and inclusion programming. So we champion DEI in the marketing space and really want to build an inclusive industry. And so one of the things that we do is we offer special series webinars to honor our community in different parts of our community. So in February, we had a women's history webinar that welcomed leaders, female marketing leaders in our community, as well as had a sponsor express interest in participating in that conversation and championing women in marketing. So what we did was included them in a panel, back to that panel kind of dynamic discussion, and was able to really have a special series on women's history and marketing. So look forward to bringing those types of conversations to the community as well that adds value in different ways.
Awesome.
Sorry, go ahead, Jason.
No, I love it. I think that's a great example of how you can kind of create, again, unique opportunities, really kind of bring in different partners in different ways. So love it.
Yeah. And one other example I'd love to share is another way that we engaged a partner in a totally unique way. We had a sponsored learning program that was custom developed that we've never done before. It was with a partner, Sprinkler, who wanted to bring to our community a social media tech boot camp. So kind of a how-to in social media, navigating the space and learning about the challenges and how to mitigate those. And so it was 7 live sessions for 30 minutes. There was a unique engagement opportunity through, there was a drawing for those attendees that attended 3 or more sessions, as well as a certificate of completion. So really kind of highlighting the commitment of those members, and of course, having that added visibility on social media, which is what I included on the right side of the screen here, and allowing our partner to be highlighted as a thought leader, as a learning partner, able to contribute to our community and help them learn something new. So that was really an exciting thing for the AMA. It's something that we hope to do both with this partner again and other partners. So, you never know when a new idea might lead to future business ideas and might be the next big one. So definitely don't be afraid to try new things.
Yeah, I love seeing this. Just looking for, again, more and more opportunities to get them involved, just creating that unique experience, not only for them, I'm sure, but also for the attendees on site as well. So that's really cool. Now, again, you already talked about some of the benefits of having kind of those planning or shared speaking engagements. One thing I did kind of want to share with the audience here today is just kind of showcasing how that might be done from a kind of sponsorship setup perspective. So you can kind of see on the right-hand side here, kind of under the keynote presentation, this is how you can easily show sponsors, indicating that they are sponsoring these keynote sessions here. And then on the left-hand side, what we can allow is for planners to be able to share that information with those sponsors directly through our exhibitor portal, where they can come in and they can see a full list of who's actually attended each of these sessions. The added benefit is that the planner can ultimately control, or you can control, what type of information you want to share with sponsors for those who actually attended those particular sessions. So again, this has been a very popular feature set that we've had. And again, I think it really helps kind of provide value and ROI back for those sponsors for those speaking sessions there. Another example I did also want to share was really within kind of the Attendee Hub experience. So here's kind of a homepage example that I wanted to share. One of the things that we've been certainly working on is providing more visual kind of banner experiences at the top. And here you can see just a great opportunity to really kind of showcase more of those tier 1 sponsors. You can kind of see at the lower part of the screen as well, if you really wanted to kind of use some custom card functionality that you can schedule for certain days of the event. You can kind of showcase maybe some videos about some of your key partners in advance. So just a really good way for attendees to engage with their different content. And then, of course, when it comes to actually reporting on metrics for sponsors as well, here's just kind of a snapshot of one of the reports that we have, which really kind of indicates exactly all the touch points that attendees have with each of your sponsors at an event. So we can capture everything from whether or not they clicked on a custom card, whether they visited their particular page, maybe watched a video, opened a document. So you as a planner have access to all these great insights. And the nice thing with this is you can easily share this directly with them as well from the exhibitor portal post-event. So again, just looking for better ways that we can kind of showcase that value to sponsors within the product. All right, so that brings me to challenge number 2. How do we engage our audiences pre and post-event? So obviously, pre-pandemic, a lot of our focus was really largely on kind of that on-site experience. And as we know, for customers who have really maybe 1 or 2 or 3 large events a year, that's a lot of time, energy, and focus on those kind of, very few large number of events. But then we kind of see that drop off in engagement kind of in between those events, right? So one of the big focuses that we've really invested in over the last couple of years is how do we start fostering that engagement both before the event and certainly in between the other events as well. So how do we kind of go about kind of creating solutions for this? Well, obviously as a technology company, we really trying to push in the envelope as far as using technology to really boost that pre-event engagement. So a couple examples I wanted to showcase was number one, our Attendee Hub banners. So we had support right now for a cover image on the homepage, but we actually this week are releasing these new Attendee Hub banners, which allow you to kind of showcase these large visual assets when an attendee comes into the event on both the homepage, the expo page, and the sponsor page as well. The benefit with these new ones is that you can support more than one banner at a time. So that way the attendee can kind of scroll through them and we make it very easy to kind of put kind of those high level calls to action, directing attendees to kind of view people's services or products in advance of the event. And the great thing with this as well is we're going to be fully supporting this on mobile. So that's kind of the new addition with these banners as well. Another way that we can really kind of foster pre-event engagement is through our discussions feature. So here is just an example where, and we see this customers doing this quite often with, especially with sponsors, is pre-event, maybe the day before or the week before, scheduling different discussion groups within Attendee Hub that the sponsors can actually host. Maybe they want to come up with the actual topic of the discussion. And it's just a really great way to kind of bring together attendees to maybe talk about a specific issue or item that the sponsors can actually have a voice in and saying and have an opportunity to connect with those attendees prior to them coming on site. So again, this is just a really great tool. And the nice thing with discussions is we can support it not only for the web, but in the app here as well. All right, item number 2 that I already talked about is continuing the conversation on demand. So as mentioned, how do we continue to kind of foster that engagement with audiences post-event? So one of the areas that we really try to focus on and we've invested in is supporting video on demand. So we've seen it a lot. Everyone sees it all the time when they go inside an event. Maybe you had an appointment, maybe you were scheduled in a particular session and you couldn't attend both at the same time. Video on demand kind of allows the ability for you to host these videos post-event, so that way attendees can come back, they can watch maybe some sessions that were recorded that they didn't have an opportunity to see, or maybe they were so engaged in a particular session they want to go back and take more notes about it after. So video on demand is a great tool for kind of providing more additional engagement kind of post-event, right? And the nice thing with this is you can still support reporting as far as who actually engaged with this content and how long they actually watched it for. So that's all available. Now, the only downside with video on demand is, as we know, is events, as people attend events, it's hard for them to keep coming back weeks, months after the event is over. So last December, we rolled out with a new product called Cvent Video Center. And the great thing with Cvent Video Center is it's a new hub that you can actually take the best video content across all your events and host it in this one location. So that way your attendees can come in at any time and they can see very specific content that you want to highlight for them. So again, you can see how we have different banners we can highlight, but we can also support showcasing upcoming events as well. So this is a really great opportunity if you have sponsors or partners that you want to promote here as well, to really start driving engagement, getting people pre-registered in advance, using, again, this one central hub to continue to drive that engagement and conversations in between events. So we're very excited about this one. All right, so the third one, offer a virtual or live opportunity at the mid-year point. So Julia, I'd love to hear your perspective on how AMA has really tried to tackle this one here with your event program.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I'll just say that video center, I think, is a huge value add for sponsors, attendees, having access to that content throughout the year, being able to promote other events and really kind of dive deep into a topic specifically could be huge for the AMA as well, since we have multiple communities through those different topics. So one of those communities I've talked a lot about today, and I probably also still will throughout the rest of the webinar, is our higher ed marketing community. So I just showed you earlier what that hybrid experience looked like in 2021. We do have a live event that we offer every fall, and we also have a virtual event that we do in the spring. So this is a recommendation whenever possible in your organization. If you have the resources and team to put it on, consider offering a mid-year point additional event for that same community. And when I talk about community, I'm talking about the attendees getting more value through the content. And I'm also talking about the sponsors having that other opportunity to really reach that community. And so one of the things that we did at the AMA was kind of create create that continuity and that conversation. And in fact, we even developed packages that incentivize our sponsors to participate in both. So, instead of just one or the other, hey, if you're interested in signing on for both, we'll offer a discount to you to thank you for your investment in the community. So that's a good way to think about it too, is instead of kind of that one and done sponsorship approach, you can really bring sponsors into two events through hopefully one agreement and one package. So something to think about to bring to your organizations as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. Another one, obviously, since we are obviously on one here today from a webinar perspective, is certainly leveraging Cvent Webinar to kind of also host maybe kind of small, targeted, focused events in between some of your larger, either virtual or in-person events is another great tool that you could use as well, right? So again, similar to what we have for virtual and on-site events, being able to report on duration and participation metrics, and also providing these within that Cvent Video Center after is just another great way of kind of having those different touch points more frequently throughout the year to, again, continue the conversation with attendees. All right, challenge number 3, how can we drive greater audience engagement on site? So I'd love to hear from you, Julie, and how AMA is trying to tackle this one.
Yes, this is one of my favorite ones, so I'm excited to talk about it. We are all thrilled to be back in person, able to engage with each other face to face. I know that we all waited for a long time to do that. So our partners, though, are really seeking creative ways to optimize the engagement on site. So again, that goes back to that ROI and how can we walk out of this event with something that we didn't have before. And so it's really challenged our organizations to think creatively. And so I wanted to chat about a few different solutions that AMA provides through the various community events that we host. So we have 3 communities that we serve: our professional marketing community, our collegiate or student community, which I'll chat about in solution 3, and then our academic community. So that's full of our marketing researchers, our professors, our thought leaders in marketing academia. And so we host 3 academic conferences a year, and we've been doing a lot of active listening in this space in the last couple of years and really leaning into our partners and what they're looking for, what they're finding on site, what they're missing on site. And so one of the things that we decided to do to offer a unique partnership to those sponsors in that space is build a custom platinum level partnership that offered some unique benefits that we've never offered before. One of those unique benefits is exclusive networking opportunities within the event with our community. So something that our sponsors were really desiring was connecting with people as community members and not just as exhibitors. So what we offered was an invitation to a VIP networking reception, and that was full of our top leaders. Those were our AMA volunteer leaders, our council members, the editors of our journals. So really all the people in the community that they would want to interact with. And they were invited to attend as a community member. And it's really amazing and interesting what can happen when you're talking community member to community member instead of exhibitor to attendee. So I think that they really appreciated that opportunity to connect with the attendees in a different way. And in fact, we were able to secure that platinum sponsorship in the first year that we offered it and double the spend with one partner. So it just really goes to show you when you create those unique opportunities to engage with your community, it can really be meaningful to the sponsor and increase their investment.
Yeah, I mean, that face-to-face interaction honestly is like the best ROI that you can possibly provide. And honestly, like you mentioned, the fact that they doubled their investment is certainly no surprise for having those unique opportunities. So really cool to hear that.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Number 2 we have here is make it fun, right? Make it fun, maybe make it a little competitive, maybe not too competitive, but it's always fun to incentivize attendees, right? To better engage with different goals you have for your event, whether it's sponsors or connecting together. But one thing I did want to call out, certainly for those of you who may not have used this yet, is we do have a gamification product offering as well. And this can be really leveraged and tailored to create unique sponsorship games, engagement opportunities that can motivate attendees to take certain actions with your sponsors, right? So maybe it's visiting their page, watching their videos, downloading their content, booking appointments with them, right? For that face-to-face interaction. The gamification opportunities is a great way to facilitate that. You can customize the entire point value for all the activities. And the fun thing with this is you can also have and present a leaderboard that I know certainly a lot of folks get very competitive with, but But again, it does kind of help drive some of that engagement on site or virtually as well. All right, number 3.
We actually, oh, sorry. I was going to say, we also do gamification through our virtual events, and we actually offer that as a sponsorship opportunity as a whole, a gamification sponsor. And so those partners who aren't maybe able, again, it goes back to budgets, to be thought leaders, are able to invest somewhat and kind of align themselves with that fun and competitive edge. So we've seen that as a successful sponsorship for AMA as well. Yeah, so I wanted to lead into our third solution that we wanted to provide to you. And this is about our collegiate community, or I have an example from our collegiate community. So whenever possible, we encourage you to set up one-on-one personal interaction. So if you think about the last fantastic event that you went to and what you remember from it, I can almost guarantee you there was at least one personal conversation that stands out. So whether it was connecting with a colleague who helped you tackle something that you were facing in your day-to-day, or a sponsor who provided a tool to help you do your job better, or maybe you had a great conversation about a vacation you just had with another attendee and you were able to bond over that. Those are the moments that really make an impact at our events. And so we should strive to bring those to our partners so that they can have those as well. And I think it goes with the changing times too. I mean, people certainly still want that laundry list of leads to sort through when they get home, and they want to walk away with those connections and those moments. So a sponsorship solution that the AMA developed to respond to this and offer this at our collegiate conference was something we call Skill Up Stations. So that was an opportunity for speed mentoring sessions where a recruiter or a partner of ours was matched with a student one-on-one, and in 15 minutes provided some guidance and expertise about a career development topic. So could be resume development, it could be interviewing skills, it could be social media and personal brand, but really having that time together to connect and to learn something. And so our partner walks away with that, getting a feel for our awesome students, and having that seeing them talk and think on their feet, as well as that give back feeling, which I know a lot of our partners enjoy too, because they're investing in our marketing community, as well as the student walks away and they have a whole new piece of insight they didn't have before, and they might think about that partner a little bit differently than they previously had. So it's a really great opportunity to connect, and whenever possible, encourage you to create platforms to facilitate those connections on site, because that just might be the difference maker in your event.
That's awesome to hear. I love the fact, having small 15-minute increments. I'm sure, again, from an attendee's perspective, just a lot of, I'm sure, unique perspectives there on site. So I love hearing just these different ways in which you guys are kind of leveraging partnerships to really enhance that on-site experience.
Absolutely. Thanks. So I'm gonna bring us into some key takeaways today. So just if you remember nothing else about our time together today, I encourage you to remember a few key things. And I'm going to go back to one of the initial solutions I shared, which is, don't forget, your partners are key solution providers. So don't forget to treat them like that. Offer unique options that accommodate them as thought leaders, and treat them as key customer segments. And so that is both externally and how you talk to them and the options that you offer them. And it's also internally. So make sure that your teams understand the importance of sponsorship, and really understand that sponsorship is not an ancillary part of your business. In fact, it's a core piece that fuels your mission and allows your organization to give to the community even better than it otherwise would. So really make sure that when you are planning for events, when you're talking about events, your partners are key solution providers.
Awesome. Love it, for sure. And of course, number 2, I want to make sure everyone takes away with is innovation is key. Now, I know that seems very vague, but at the same time, a lot of the things we talked about today, whether it's innovating kind of new networking opportunities on site from a logistics perspective, or using different products within your event experience to drive innovation, there's a lot of different ways they can really pull in partner and sponsorship opportunities for them, right? So one of the things I did want to highlight for this group that we are working on right now, and this is going to be available shortly, call this a bit of a sneak peek, but working with our product marketing team, we're actually going through and presenting and creating this sponsorship package generator. And really what this is designed to do is give you some ideas when you're setting up your event in advance about how you can structure some of your sponsorship packages for your particular event. So just an example for this is if you want to have maybe a single sponsorship, or maybe you have an event that needs tiered sponsorship, whether it's gold, platinum, silver sponsorship levels. We have different ways that you can start this process for just generating different ideas, clicking on it. You can create your own name of the tier, put in a potential price for this as well. And the best part is we're going to highlight for you all the different features and opportunities that you can access within the Cvent platform to be able to drive those sponsorship engagement opportunities. So again, things like virtual booths, sponsored sessions, lead capture, one-to-one appointments. Like we know, obviously, a lot of these things that can drive more of that face-to-face interaction or one-to-one video conferencing are very critical for driving sponsorship. So again, the nice thing with this is once it's done, you can basically go in there, showcase, again, the different types of features, create a package, and that way you can easily just send a PDF report over to those potential prospects and sponsors just to give them a sense about what they could expect before coming on site for their event. So again, really excited for this one. Hoping this will be available here in a couple of weeks for you folks to check out.
And Jason, that's awesome innovation. I had the chance to poke around in there and see what the sponsorship generator is really like. And I think especially for nonprofits, which I assume there are a few tuning in today, could be a huge benefit in really saving on time and resources, but having something that is really custom generated and you're able to do with ease. So really great innovation from Cvent, and excited to see that come to life soon.
Absolutely.
So thank you. And then finally, I'm going to leave you with gratitude goes a long way. So just like our parents taught us, make sure that you're minding your manners and you're always saying thank you. So your partners want to be valued. They want to be recognized for the contributions, leadership, participation in your community. So make sure that you're doing that. And that might be through the tried and true handwritten card, which I'm always a fan of. I think that never goes out of style. Or it might be through something larger and a more meaningful gesture. And so I wanted to give an example of a way that the AMA did that. Which was through a sponsorship dinner. So at our symposium for the marketing of higher education, we hosted a welcome dinner for our sponsors on the first evening. And while it was a significant investment, it was a really great one. And we are so glad that we did it because the interaction and reaction from sponsors was really more than we could have hoped for in terms of sponsors felt treated like VIPs. They said, wow, we've never been to an event where we're treated like this. And the conversations that we were able to have at that dinner about the future of higher ed marketing, about the industry, were really wonderful, and also brought a really paved the way for future business and really solidified that relationship. And so we actually saw the highest ever on-site signups for the following year. And we think a lot of that had to do with saying thank you and with giving that kind of gesture to showing our sponsors that we really care about them as community members. So don't be afraid to invest, even if it may seem like a lot, because it can really come back around for you. So with that, I want to give gratitude to all of you who were able to join us today and those of you watching on demand. And I'm going to toss it back to Jason for some final remarks and then open the floor for Q&A.
Yes, well, obviously, thank you all. And thank you, Julie, for joining us here today. I loved hearing your own personal experiences and how AMA has really kind of thought about different ways of leveraging and pushing sponsorship opportunities with your partners. It's always great to get different perspectives, whether it's for-profit, not-for-profit. There's just so many opportunities to really kind of drive those different stakeholders at events. So again, thank you. So with that, we're going to move it over here now to live Q&A. I'm sure there's been some great questions coming in, and hopefully between the two of us, we can tackle some of these here live right now. So first one that we have up here is, what are some creative ways to incentivize attendees to connect with sponsors beyond a gift card? Julie, do you want to take the first crack at this one?
Yeah, so that's hard, right? Is finding those creative solutions. So I'll start by saying there's many other things besides gift cards, right? There are at AMA, one of the things that we also offer, just incentives in general, is offering membership sometimes, which is high value. Our sponsors have several different types of giveaways that they offer at their booths. And so, they also have sometimes offered tools or learning classes or that sort of thing. So really getting value from the sponsors in what they're offering, and not just kind of that financial incentive, because our community is a community of learners. So if ever they can have access to learning in a different way through a conference, a curriculum, something like that, that's something that we've seen sponsors offer as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It could be material, it could be services. Obviously, leveraging things like gamification to drive that. Maybe it's booking a certain amount of appointments, right, with a number of different sponsors. There's a lot of different ways of incentivizing more of that engagement, right? So, thank you for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Next one. What do you suggest for partners who don't have a lot of money to sponsor, but are interested in your industry and engaging with your community? So I'm sure in the not-for-profit space, this may be probably pretty relevant here. So yeah, what do you think, Julie, on this?
Yeah, absolutely. So first of all, always, again, gratitude. Thank them for being interested in your industry, interested in your community. And, sometimes partners come in, either they're not ready or they don't fully understand the event and kind of the value of it. So we have a few methods that we use in this case. Invite them to come as an attendee. So whenever possible, if they're not ready to sponsor, have them attend your event and make sure that you greet them on site and that you provide a great experience for them and show them what sponsorship would look like. If they have some budget, but maybe not a full budget for an event investment, start them with dipping their toe in the water. Ask them if they want to buy sponsored content placement or a banner ad, and show them, what you can provide, as well as offer them value whenever possible. So if you have something with a lot of inventory, offer them a complimentary placement in another channel, so that they can kind of really get the feel for what the audience is in your community. And then finally, sometimes there's just no budget at all, right? They're not in a place to spend, but use that as a learning opportunity and a relationship building opportunity. So if you really think that they're a good prospect for you and a good potential future partner, ask them questions, ask them what their goals are, ask them what organizations they do work with, learn about their decision-making team, as well as maybe their budgeting timeframe. And so you can make all the notes of that in your CRM, so that maybe when it is buying time, you'll be primed to go and able to provide them with some options that will achieve their goals.
Yeah, I think it all comes back to your point, understanding what their goals and objectives are for a particular event, and then kind of looking at how can you help them achieve those particular goals. There's always different ways, different things, whether it's monetary, maybe it's just getting in front of attendees and just showcasing some of their services, different content, right? So definitely lots of opportunities depending really on what their goals are ultimately. So understanding that, I'm sure, is a key driver for that decision making.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. For panel discussions, do you find it difficult to have sponsors speak together if they are competitors? I'm sure this is probably going to change depending on the industry, but I would expect, certainly from my experience, that a lot of times competitors are good thought leaders in a particular area, right? And depending on the audience type, what the topic is of that particular industry event, a lot of times you may have different competitors that are there together, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. I think having different perspectives, different opinions on how to approach things is a good thing, right? But Julie, I don't know if you have any perspective, if you've run into this before.
Yes, of course we've run into it before. It's a great question. And I think that it's something that comes up a lot in a lot of industries. And it can feel kind of, uncomfortable, or what are we going to do? We've got the two, the CVEN and the other hybrid event platform provider, next to each other. But it kind of goes back to what you say, our partners at the AMA are investing in our community. They want to provide solutions. And they also recognize they're not the only solution provider. So I think they try to come to the table with a different approach, maybe different thought leadership, but I don't think that there's any really ill will or any drawback to having them join the conversation together. What I will say is for the shared speaking opportunity I spoke about early in the webinar, our innovation showcase. We do try to take that. We have our partners kind of share what they want to talk about. And then we do try to align them strategically so that the topic is mixing and matching based on topics, and trying whenever possible to not put competitors side by side if we can avoid it. But we don't run into that too often. And when it does happen, it's usually a good attitude, and everyone's coming to the table with a good spirit, wanting to really join and help our audience solve their challenges.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, we have another one. All right. Do you have any advice on any incentives where you are unable to offer anything monetary or anything that would need to be reported? So, I mean, I guess going back to your speaking panel type of opportunity, right? I think there's certainly more things that you could offer partners or prospective partners that are not just monetary, right? So how do we think about engaging them with an event, with an audience that, again, if they did participate in some type of speaking session or engagement, maybe it's a flash theater, small 15-minute type of experience, right? You can provide back things that are maybe some reporting around who's attended that particular event for them or that particular session. But yeah, any other thoughts yourself, Julie, on what you've seen as far as like non-monetary benefits?
Yeah, I would go back to, again, AMA offers certain training programs and membership. I mean, even to our partners, we'll offer membership sometimes with their partnership, because that opens the door to all kinds of other value. So you've got the dollar amount of the partnership, but you've got access to member-only perks, which include certain programmings, training, local communities, and networking opportunities. So sometimes offering even just that one big value add, you can have access to a whole lot of other thought leadership tools that would be exciting to our audience and attendance.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, I think we have a follow-up question here from competitors. I think this must be a pretty common theme here. A lot of folks here are very competitive. So I love the idea of hosting a dinner for sponsors, but how do you deal with having competitors dining together? I think this would scare a lot of them off from joining. So again, from a dinner perspective, I know from my experience in the past, if there are challenges in advance and that is escalated to a planner or whatever, there's always ways that you can use kind of table seating assignment modules that can help, obviously place people at different tables if that's a challenge. But I'm sure in a lot of cases for smaller events, that's probably not really necessarily an option. But from your experience, Julia, what have you seen, I guess, from a dinner perspective here?
I guess we've been fortunate because I understand the mindset. So we're talking about, our dinner was about 50 to 75 people overall. So, pretty, I guess, intimate-ish in size. And we did round tables, we did a buffet, we did open seating. Maybe it's unique to our community, but I actually think there's a lot of great partnership and energy that comes from those conversations. So again, while we think about competition and competitors, I actually think the conversations are really rich, and it's not your platform versus mine, your solution versus mine. It's what are you seeing in the industry, and what are your clients facing? And it's almost I've had conversations with competitors or with sponsors at the dinner that say, we lost to this company and we learned a lot through it because they're doing something different that we would love to do, or this is what we do that's unique. So I just think overall there's a really strong, special community, and maybe I'm realizing how special with these questions, where the competitors are really approaching it as a way to learn, as a way to grow, as a way to be challenged to be better in the industry. And it's a great spirit. And listen, anytime you're offering food and drinks, I don't think you're going to have to pull anyone's legs too much to show up and at least say hi.
That's very true. I think you're absolutely right. I mean, I've certainly been at those dinners before as well, and I think people do find a comfort in just kind of sharing their challenge, right? Not necessarily looking for what are you doing better than us, but more like kind of just being open and just talking about, hey, these are the things we're dealing with. We're trying to work through it. It can kind of definitely foster some different creativity and thought process around how to better approach them. But for the most part, I agree. I haven't seen too many challenges where people are really remiss to kind of keeping that very close to the chest. But again, I'm sure it depends on the industry and the competitors themselves too. All right, next question. Okay, when it comes to sharing attendee data with sponsors, what types of controls and settings are available? So yeah, it's a good question. So I kind of mentioned this a little bit earlier in the presentation today. But again, when it comes to engagement with attendees, engaging with exhibitors and sponsor pages, we do have a lot of different activities that we can share automatically with sponsors through the exhibitor portal, right? So we do offer full control for you to be able to go in there and say, hey, I'm comfortable sharing maybe first name, last name, title, and company, but maybe I don't want to share email, all right? Maybe I don't want to share a certain, maybe phone number or any custom field, but we provide the ability to really customize any of those attendee data fields to be able to share depending on what the needs of your event are and what you're comfortable sharing with them directly. So yes, fully flexible. And it's not just the data set, it's also just the activities as well. Again, so maybe I'm comfortable sharing who clicked on someone's video, but maybe not so much who actually just clicked on their page, right? So again, our tool can offer full flexibility around sharing that information. When it comes, I think that was the one I just. Yeah. All right. How do you find the most successful approach to sponsorship conversation? Do you reach out electronically first, or do you try to connect to that person or organization on a more personal level first? So great question. I'm sure you probably got a lot more direct experience, Julie, on this one.
Yeah, I love this question. And I assume that this is a sponsorship in general question and less about on-site at the event because, in that circumstance, I'm thinking if someone came as an attendee, trying to set up a meeting and share with them the sponsorship opportunities. But in general, there's no one right way, right? So what I encourage our team to do is to start electronically whenever possible and find those key people at the organization and reach out to them and see if they're interested in connecting. Picking up the phone to call, I think you'll be surprised how little telephones are being used these days. So, and I know everyone's in varying offices, but making sure that they hear your voice and that you follow up via phone. I think it's funny how now the old school solutions are the new innovative things, but that can be something that really stands out. And if you're not, gaining traction, keep going. I think that one of the things that we're noticing now is it takes many more touch points than it used to get someone's attention. And again, it goes back to what I was saying earlier. Someone might not be in a buying mode in that moment, but making sure that you're keeping on them, keeping up, and being available and ready when they are ready to spend. So I think that trying all sorts of different touch points, if you're in the same, and again, I know we're all remote now, a lot of us, if you're in the same city, invite them to coffee, send them a Starbucks gift card for a virtual coffee and set up a meeting, get creative about how you can connect with people and make sure you're leading the messaging with what the value is that you can provide and how it's unique to what they're looking for. And so make sure that you've done your research as well on what their challenges might be. It's you don't always get it all the way through a website, but you can pick up some of the top ones.
And they obviously take them out for dinner. Sounds like it works quite well for you as well. So there you go. There's always opportunities to try and connect in a number of different ways. All right. So I think this is our last question here for the session today. So how can we help better connect attendees and sponsors based on their interests? So yeah, this is definitely a big one here. And this is something that we're constantly focusing on how we can better even innovate our product itself as far as it pertains to collecting attendee interests, which we can do. And just really trying to help with that matchmaking, right? So one of the ways in which we try to facilitate this right now is largely through our appointments module, right? Trying to make sure that we can match attendees with exhibitors and sponsors for certain networking opportunities like that. We're also creating new prompts on the home login page where you as a planner come in and say, hey, when an attendee logs into Attendee Hub, I want to provide them with a prompt to direct them to book appointments with exhibitors and direct them immediately there from that touch point. On the other side, obviously, when an attendee logs in, if you want them to connect with exhibitors themselves, you can do the inverse of that as well. So we're just trying to find better ways within the product to really kind of foster those connections and touch points. And there's a lot of different ways we can certainly continue to innovate here, and that is certainly going to be one of our bigger focuses this year. Is again is investing in that discoverability, and a lot of it comes through interest.
Yeah, absolutely. And you highlighted the discussions earlier, and we do those live. So we have, sponsors. You can sponsor a roundtable discussion and help work with the moderator and facilitate the discussion. We also have something that we call loud tables. So sometimes at lunch we have a particular topic, and you can sponsor, and a group of 8 people can sit at the table, and then you have something already a built-in affinity towards a certain topic or interest in learning about something. something. So sometimes it's those small things that, again, create those meaningful small touch points that both the attendee and the sponsor will walk away with and remember each other for.
Yeah, absolutely. Great response. Great way to finish, I think, today's session. So again, thank you all very much for this. This has been wonderful. Hopefully you had some good key takeaways from the conversation today. I'm sure we'll continue this one going forward. And yes, thank you so much. So I think at this point, if you haven't done so already, I would definitely encourage you to fill out the survey. Love to get your feedback here after this particular session. Maybe if it's incredibly positive, maybe Julia can invite you to come back again and do another one of these at a future date as well. So yeah, definitely please encourage you to fill out the survey. And of course, we have some upcoming webinars available there as well. So please check out that action item there in the engagement panel. Love for you to see the ones that are coming up here and hopefully register for those ones as well. So thank you so much.